Michigan 24, Northwestern 22. I thought Northwestern would keep it close. I wasn't sure about this close because, whoa, the Wolverines at Wrigley Field needed a game-winning field goal on a day where they had already missed two. Now, admittedly, one of them was from 60 yards. The guy looks like he's got plenty of leg for that. Bryce Underwood made more freshman-looking mistakes. But when the chips were down, backs were against the wall, it came down to it, and other generic lines like that, the Michigan defense and the Michigan run game showed up. I'm not surprised. Michigan's won 4 in a row. And whether you like it or not, whether you think they are a playoff team or not, I don't think they're a playoff caliber team. I just can't deny what their resume is. By the way, that Oklahoma loss got a bump today. That USC loss got a bump today. Those are the only ones who they haven't beaten this year. They've beaten everybody else. There is an element to Michigan's resume that is just being buoyed by win total. And I understand that. It's why they're not as high as some other teams. Northwestern is not bad, but Northwestern's not some great team either. David Braun almost had quite the victory to get his team bowl eligible today. So for Michigan, this is definitely on my 5-point post-game fan mood assessment scale. It's a no vibe sort of. Got in, okay, won the game. It's a win, okay. Next week they go to Maryland. They should not have a problem in that game. Maryland is playing some pretty bad football right now. They couldn't score against Illinois' defense. Everybody scores on Illinois' defense. So that was one of my best bets that missed today. So that was cool. But anyway, Michigan controls their own fate to be a college football playoff team. And look, I do not believe that Michigan is a dangerous squad if they get into the playoff. I don't think they're a great team this year. I know they're a good one. They're on track to go the exact record I predicted them when the season started, which was 9-3. And guess what? They're probably not going to say it out loud because they have Ohio State at home. But if you have a bunch of wins that are not very impressive, which is what Michigan has, their best win is probably Nebraska or Washington. Probably Washington because in the manner in which they beat them, 24-7 at home. But Nebraska was on the road. So anyway, those are solid wins. They're not great. But if you are 10-2 and have a win over the number one team in the country that has been there since week 1 when they beat Texas, that's going to put you in the college football playoff. And I bet there are some folks that haven't paid super close attention to what Michigan has been over the last several weeks, and is probably going, wait, Michigan? Bryce Underwood's still a freshman. Yeah, he is. Looks better and better each week, and then makes some serious, hardcore freshman mistakes. No doubt about it. But if they beat Maryland, the Michigan-Ohio State game is going to have a playoff berth on the line for the Wolverines. Not for the Buckeyes, because they're going to be undefeated going into that game. But you're going to have the game, Ohio State, Michigan, and if Michigan wins, they go to the playoff, and it's at the Big House. I don't care which team you're a college football fan of. Start getting excited for that one right now because that's some good stuff. I just hope they avoid the look-ahead spot. They survived. They found a way, and that's what everyone, including the committee, I think is going to remember with Michigan. So good for the Wolverines. It's a no-vibes outcome because, yikes, they easily could have lost and playoff hopes were out the door, and then you wouldn't have been able to even spoil Ohio State going to the playoff because we have a 12-team playoff, and that would have stunk. But, hey, go take care of Maryland, and you can play your way into the college football playoff, whether everybody else likes it or not. You talk about a 10-2 that could probably leapfrog BYU. Michigan might fall into that category because of the matchup with Ohio State. I wonder, on that note, it's just popped into my head as I'm recording, would Georgia Tech at 11-1 with a win over Georgia be ranked higher than BYU at 11-1 with its best win over Utah? Probably. They probably would. It'd be hard to, even though they struggled with Wake Forest, even though they struggled with Boston College, who's probably the worst Power 4 team in all of college football. If they go win against Georgia, that'd be hard to ignore. So, boy, a lot of different scenarios in the final few weeks that are not going to involve Louisville and Cincinnati. Duke can go in here as well. I whiffed on that one. I thought Vegas knew something. Vegas didn't know diddly squat by favoring Duke. They lost that game 31-17. They trailed 31-3 in the fourth quarter. It wasn't close. The Duke defense is not good enough. The Duke offense is inconsistent. And Duke is now a 5-loss team. That's crazy. They're way too talented. They gave Darian Mensah way too much money to have that be the outcome, but at least they're going for it. I respect them for that. But Louisville and Cincinnati blew it this weekend. Teams that I'll talk about the G5 playoff race on Monday or Tuesday's show because South Florida threw a wrench into things by losing at Navy. Oopsie daisies. Louisville and Cincinnati were these under-the-radar teams that had chances to go to the playoff. Louisville needed some help, but they could have made the ACC championship game, gotten it, and they couldn't kick the ball. That's all it came down to. Am I a little peeved because this was one of my best bets that I added late? They were at home and couldn't beat Clemson at home. Now, this is, of course, the worst of vibes for Louisville fans. 2 straight home losses for Jeff Brom's team. And maybe this is the last season he coaches with Louisville. We'll see how the coaching carousel shakes out and who everybody wants to hire. You had your own playoff and ACC championship destiny, maybe not in that order, in your hands after the win against Miami. And then you had 2 home games in which you were a favorite because you're the better team, and you went out and lost. That's a bad time to be a Louisville fan, and that time, unfortunately, is right now. And then another team I talked about, who I also had as one of my best bets, and Cincinnati. Get this. Cincinnati had not lost as a ranked team to an unranked opponent since 2011. And Arizona walked into their house and shut down that offense to the tune of 24 points. And Arizona wins 30-24. Highest of vibes for Arizona. Brent Brennan might wind up with 9 wins at the end of the season. That's entirely possible. Did it feel that way before the season after last year? Nope. It really didn't. And yet here we are. So Arizona is climbing, and they're going to have a big offseason. Final couple games, maybe the Wildcats wind up with 10 wins. I don't know. I doubt that. But they're winning at least 8, maybe 9 or 10 games once bowl season comes to a close. And then you go into a big offseason. Because remember, this is the Big 12. This is a conference where you can go up and down a lot easier than in some of the other leagues. Because I think the ACC and the Big 12, you have this. I think you're seeing this in the SEC, frankly. I mean, Vanderbilt is a team that might be controlling its own fate to go to the college football playoff. Vanderbilt. Who can't? If Vanderbilt can do it, who can't? I mean, even Indiana in the Big Ten. That's just the era of college football that we're in. So I think it does apply to some extent to any conference, but in the Big 12, you've got Texas Tech, but then there's a gap. Like we saw last week when BYU went and played. There's a gap right now. I don't know if it'll last forever. I'm just saying there's a gap. So it's Texas Tech and then a bunch of teams that you can definitely go beat. There's a heck of a win for Arizona. But Cincinnati controlled their own fate to make the Big 12 championship game and therefore the playoff. One thing to note, and I will end on this. Did you know that Arizona State and Houston are both alive for the Big 12 championship game? Okay, that's it. I'm done. Appreciate everyone listening. I'll see you next time. Until then, hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day.